because
Timmy Trumpets.
That's the that was the Edwin Diaz New York Mets closer, right?
Yes, I remember. That's how it started, and then it was every commercial and everything forever.
It was hot.
Hey, I think we're live, by the way.
Of course we're live. We're here. Let's go. This is the pregame show. Sam is still on the road. Has the road gotten Sam? We'll find out in just a moment on the DLLS Dallas Stars pregame show. Stars and Hurricanes in Raleigh tonight. Let's go. Look at this. It is road game number 2 of this trip. It's a 3-game trip. This is the DLLS Dallas Stars pregame show. Craig Ludwig. Sam, don't call him stuck at home Nestler. And, of course, our producer, John Anderson. I'm Owen Newkirk. Let's get it going. Sam, you are on the road and you are at Lenovo Center, which is still new to me because for a long time it was PNC Arena. I'll talk about that later. But how did you get there? How was the road so far? And everything going smoothly as business travel will do?
Yeah, very lucky. I haven't had any issues with flights or anything like that. The only kind of craziness was there was a massive girls' high school lacrosse recruiting tournament in Tampa. So the airports were just packed when I flew out yesterday. It was just crazy wild, tons of people. That plus all the fans for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that were traveling and trying to watch that game while they dismembered my hometown New York Giants on Sunday. So it's been lucky. It's been really good. I got to Raleigh last night. Beautiful sky here. They have some crazy sky and sunsets here. And it's been really nice. Raleigh has been a little more calm than Tampa since the arena is kind of further away. It's not smack dab in the middle of downtown like Tampa, but it's been fun.
Have you been outside at all? Because you say it's more calm. Yeah, it's not downtown. But, I mean, Carolina tailgating is a huge thing for Hurricanes games. I've been to there.
Yep. When you come in, it's a cool setup. The NC State football stadium is right across, not even across the street, across the parking lot. So you got a really cool kind of setup with the stadiums and the arenas. And there were a lot of people out in the cars and getting set when I got here. And I like to get here way too early. So that they're ready for this one.
So the big thing for me is actually twofold. You were at morning skate today, which is obviously part of the benefits of having you there, and you couldn't help but notice the energy of the Hurricanes. And I saw your tweet, and I said, okay, I'm going to ask him on the show because I want to know what's your reaction. Why? What made you say that they are more high energy in morning skate than any other team you've seen so far?
Well, number one is Brent Burns. That guy is louder than most human beings that I've heard. He did not stop just scream, whether it was screaming at teammates, celebrating goals, cheering, taunting his teammates when he broke up a 2-on-1. It was just, he was driving the energy. Him and Brindamore really, really pushing the pace. And what I really liked about Kane's morning skate is it's very fast. It's very high paced. It feels like a practice where you're really trying to push it and get a workout and not really a morning skate to kind of go through your routines. In between every drill they do a quick 1 or 2 laps afterwards. So you hear the double whistle, drills over, they do a quick 2 laps, and then they get water. And it just feels high paced. But the thing that I noticed was they were celebrating goals. They were cheering with each other. They were jumping all over each other. It was just it just felt like there was a lot of fun and a lot of energy. And the only reason I really brought that up is because that translates into the way they play their game, right? They're a very high energy, fast paced, high pressure team. And that's something that translates well, and I don't think it's an accident.
Last thing for you, and then we're going to get into a lot of breakdown. Niels Lundqvist, you had a video you caught of him working at the end of the Stars morning skate with Colin Blackwell, the other anticipated healthy scratch tonight, along with Niels, who's an injured scratch. And he had kind of an angry reaction to what you said looked like he tweaked something. Pete DeBoer said afterwards that he's not ready to go yet. But what was your assessment on what went on the ice there?
Yeah, Nils has been doing a lot of skating on his own since he started skating. I think he missed a couple of practices, but he's been skating on the road here at Morning Skates, doing a lot of single leg, pushing off in the middle of the ice. But today was the first time I saw him doing actual battles, and he was with Colin Blackwell. They were kind of working the wall up and down, breaking down. Trying to stop. I guess it was more working on a cycle. And for Nils, I think the reason it looked like it was for his injury specifically was they were kind of doing it really slow, and he was just kind of pushing onto the side, trying to turn and just adjust with whatever Blackwell was doing. And then the last time he did it, I think it was on his left side. Nils kind of stopped, and then he slammed his stick on the glass in frustration. And he did skate after that. He did his normal drills after that, so it wasn't like it was a total setback and he was, skating right off the ice. But he was physically very, very visibly frustrated. And when he came off the ice about 10, 15 minutes later, he was still really frustrated. You could tell something was really bothering him. So I don't know if it was a setback, but it's certainly not something that he's very ready to go. He is ready to skate, but definitely not ready for the intensity of a game. So I'll be really curious to see how long this keeps him out, because obviously he's not a game away. I was expecting to see him in Chicago, honestly, with Dumba maybe coming out, because it's not as physical of a team as Carolina and Tampa, but I would be very surprised if Nils Lundqvist played before the Stars got back home.
And Sam, I know you want to get going, but you also wanted to say something about the Stars taking penalties to give the opposition power plays after the Tampa game.
Yeah, I asked Pete today because one of the interesting points that Pete made about last game with Tampa was we took too many penalties. And while it doesn't sound like a ton to take 3, he was saying with a team like Tampa that has such skill on their power play, you really want to keep that to 0 or 1. And once you start getting 2, 3, and especially above that, you start really tempting fate, right? And they didn't get caught against Tampa. They went 3 for 3. Their penalty kill looked pretty good, other than one where Tampa had some chances and Jake Oettinger stood tall. But this was a very good Carolina power play. I believe they're the second best power play specifically at home, and one of the top 5 in the NHL overall. So tonight, Pete DeBoer said we just need to play with speed, because the game they played in that first period and a half really fed Tampa's speed, and that caused them to take penalties. So if they come out tonight and they are not able to keep pace with this high pressure, high pace team, they're going to get stuck in some penalty trouble again, and they could very easily result in a goal or 2 early on. So that's going to be really, really important for them to keep up and not take penalties early in the game.
Well, Sam, thanks for your time. Look at this. You're already a seasoned veteran. Second road game. Love it.
That's how it is, boys. I'll talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, Sam. All right, Luds. One of the things he said about the energy of Rod Brindamore's morning skates, and I thought that was interesting because I remember, and it's, I've been covering the Stars for a decade. Rick Bowness, former Tampa Bay Lightning assistant, he'd been around the league a lot, and former Dallas Stars head coach, was one of the most notable guys at bringing energy to a skate. He would always be upbeat. He brought a lot of energy. He's loud. He was boisterous. He had a way of bringing an aura or an atmosphere, and I was always really impressed by that. I would imagine that I've met Rod Brindamore a few times. I don't know him, really well, but he seems like that kind of a guy that he's going to make guys want to run through walls for him just because of his personality.
Yeah, and the way he is, he still trains just as hard as he did when he played.
I believe that.
And the best thing you can do is just keep an eye on him. We'll see how many shots you can get against Rod tonight behind the bench, because he'll be pacing back and forth. He can't sit still. So he's got that high motor. The other one that when you talk about that kind of stuff was Iron Mike Keenan. His practices were known for 45-minute practice, but it was all high tempo. And when the coaches and everybody comes to the rink in the morning, it kind of carries all the way through. It's tough sometimes to wake up in the morning for morning skates when you play a lot of games and you got to drive all the way down, and you get there and you kind of want to go through the motions. And so I think there's always people that are trying to get you going so that it carries over. And by the time you get to the rink at 5 o'clock at night, you're already ready to go, instead of trying to get the warm up to wake you up.
You talk about the tempo with Mike Keenan. Willie Desjardins, who is a Dallas Stars associate coach. He was the head coach of the Texas Stars, ended up coaching the Vancouver Canucks for a few seasons. He was the head coach when the Texas Stars won the Calder Cup in 2014. His practices were the same way. They were never very long, but they are always very high tempo. They did a ton of transition stuff, but they also played a lot of games, but games to, get things done. And so players seem to really have fun, but to me, that tempo directly translated to how they played.
What it does for a player also is that when you come to the rink and you're going to practice, it's only going to be 45, 50 minutes long. And so you put more into it, because there's times when you're not sure I've been on a bunch of teams where you don't know, coaches are pissed off because of the way that you played the night before. You never know. And you can have anywhere from 30 to 40-minute practices, or you get a day off, or you have a long hour-and-a-half practice. You don't know. And so it's nice when you know what's going to happen, and you better be ready to go, and you better not be lagging behind, because you probably won't be part of the group that is only out there for 45 minutes. You may do a little extra. But then, you get into the gym and do all other things. So it's just nice to know. And like I said earlier, like, guys seem to carry it over. They go home, and even if you take a nap, you're kind of energized, ready to go for the game.
Well, the Stars are coming off a 4-2 win over the Tampa Bay Lightning on Saturday night at Amalie Arena, and they were thrilled with the results, but not really how they played. In fact, here's Matt Duchene on kind of getting through the game, even though he didn't necessarily feel they deserved to win for at least the first 40 minutes.
I'm surprised it looked like that. I don't think it was a great game for us until probably the third period. I think we did some okay things. I think they're a really well-coached team, obviously, and very stingy. They've really changed their game over the last few years. It's no secret why they've won the Cup twice. They can kill you offensively, and they're really stingy in the neutral zone. I think our game's not quite where we want it to be, but I mean, I hope, we had a goaltender steal it there for 2 periods for us and give us a chance. And I thought we started to come on in the second. We got better as every period went, and I think the third we cranked it up a notch. But yeah, it was had a playoff feel to it. There was not much room. Kind of felt like our Vegas series last year. Every time you look up, there was black sweaters above you, and not a lot of looks. And we were just opportunistic when we needed to be.
Two things there. One, if Matt Duchene does press availability, I'm probably going to include a clip because he's great. But two, the comment he made toward the end about reminding him of the Vegas series when playing Tampa, I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, when you remember good things, you remember bad things, and they stand out, and they stand out for a reason, because if you're not having success, it's never good. But when you do have success, you try to replicate what you did. But there's a reason, and you love it when you hear the veteran guys, because that message is getting relayed. And that's what you need, and that's what you want. So it's just all about getting your mind ready before anything else to what kind of game you expect. And when you play Carolina, as we've been talking about, it's a revved up game, and you're going to see it. To be honest with you, in order to really understand how this team plays, you need to watch them in person. TV doesn't really translate sometimes the way you're like, oh my God, they just keep coming and they keep coming, and every puck is directed towards the net. There's a reason that they lead the league in a lot of different categories when it comes to offensive chances and things like that, because there is no guessing if you're the winger and you don't have the puck. There's no guessing on what's going to happen. If a play isn't made generally by the top of the circle, that it's going to the net, and you already know that.
Well, since Luddy just brought it up, John, let's play that from Pete DeBoer, because he was asked this morning after pregame skate about playing Carolina, and he pretty much said high pressure is the name of the game here.
They put a lot of pressure on you. You have to be prepared for that pressure. You have to manage that pressure. You have to try and use it against them, and not just pressure, by being pressed up, and making every puck a confrontation, but also the pressure they put on by slinging pucks to the net and their shot mentality, in the offensive zone. So, they put a lot of pressure on you.
How you heard Pete say, and try to use it against them. How can you use their high pressure game against them?
Well, I think you have to move pucks out of the zone quick. If you can't make that tape to tape pass, you have to make sure that it's up and off the glass, and so you stop some of that pressure. Now, if you can get in their way, and that's kind of holding up players, coming through the neutral zone, because they love to get to the neutral zone and they keep their speed moving and pucks go in deep, and that's how they play the game that they do. But if you can interfere a little bit with that, they can't be the first guys on the puck. So a little bit of holdups here and there that are legal, because you don't want to be short too often. But then you play a physical game. The one way is to keep pounding guys, and you know who the right guys are. They're the right guys that run that team and that cause the most havoc. And if you got the opportunity to finish checks on them, you do that. And they're another team that likes to get into the play. So if they move the puck, if they do take a hit along the wall, they want to get back into play. You got that 1 second just to hold them up a little bit, so that the fast plays that they use around the net, it takes you a little bit longer to get there for that rebound, which they're the number one team in the league when it comes to rebound chances.
And because they're so high pressured, if you can get the puck broken out quickly, it should lead to some odd man rushes, which plays into the Stars' strengths of their transition game.
Yeah, they're not a very physical team. And so they get in on the forecheck, but they don't finish checks. So that allows them to get back into the play because they play more on the cycle kind of thing, both ends of the rink. So, but the puck is going to go a lot faster than the players are. So it's about having close support and letting the puck do the work.
Well, the Stars, I have an interesting thing I want to talk to you about. We talked a little bit about power play the other night. They are the 10th rated power play in the NHL on the road. Dallas is 25%. That's a very good number. They're, as we talked about the other day, they're dead last at home on power play, 7.4%. What would cause such a disparity? Why are they so much better away from American Airlines Center on the power play, considering that they've only lost one game at the AAC all year?
It's something called a road game. Teams, I don't care what sport you are in, especially hockey, you play road games. In other words, you dumb things down. You try not to create turnovers for yourself. You don't put pucks in bad areas. I think sometimes when you're at home, you want to put a show on, and I think it's natural. You want to score that highlight goal. You want to see that extra pass, that tic-tac-toe kind of play. When they're on the road and you want to keep the crowd out of it, the best way to keep the crowd out of it is score more goals than your home team is. And so I think more pucks are getting directed to the net. Shots may not be the 10 bell shots right off the hop, but it creates a rebound. And then like I said, when you have that mentality, and you know that 1-2 pass that's going to the net, the other 2 or 3 guys start gravitating to the net. And when that doesn't happen and you're unsure if you're going to get another pass back, you kind of stay on the perimeter. You're waiting. Did I get a pass? Should I go here or not? So it kind of eliminates some of the thinking when you dumb things down, especially on your power play on the road.
Well, Stars got a power play goal in Tampa the other night. It was a rush chance, not a set play in the offensive zone. And Matt Duchene addressed it after the game.
That was big, yeah. I mean, even though it was on the rush, I mean, it was a big goal for us to kind of, you go up, 2 goals there, that deflates the other team for sure. They know that they have to come back, from 2 now instead of just 1. It's a big difference, especially in the third period and especially against a team like us. So, yeah, huge goal there. A great shot by Roop, good pass by Johnny, and yeah, I mean, we'll take it. And we needed our power play to step up, and those boys did tonight for us to get us, the insurance marker. So, yeah, we'll just keep working. We got a ways to go still, and it's a great thing to go through. I mean, this team's been really dominant for the last 2 years, and we're still got a great record right now. But there's a whole other gear to our game that we're trying to find.
And there's why I played that clip. It was nice to talk about a rush power play chance. And the fact that he mentioned, hey, we got that insurance goal right after, and that takes some air out of their sails. But in spite, and that's great, right? 4-2 lead versus 3-2 is a big difference, especially as you tried to defend it late. But what he said about, we have a lot to do, we have another gear, and that's okay. He was embracing that. I think that's where that leadership is driving this team right now.
Yeah, I do too. And you want to play with all this energy, and sometimes it's like the old bull and the young bull that are coming down the mountain kind of thing. So, I think what they're trying to say is sometimes you got to play the game with your head a little bit more. And you say that 80% of the game is from the neck up. And instead of just go, we have to read plays and make the right play at the right time. And cliche, it's not cliche. In hockey, is time and score. And, they talk about the goal that gives you a little bit of breathing room because, when you're playing against a team like Tampa or Carolina, the game is never too far away for those kind of teams.
Well, you guys in the late 90s, early 2000s, Dallas Stars were one of the best teams at managing a game, sucking the life out of it when you had to, getting that 1-goal lead over the finish
I think we
line.
sucked the life out of the fans too sometimes because it was such a boring game. We dumbed things down so much, and it was a lot of that dump and chase, and there were a lot of scrums on the wall because you didn't get called for a lot of things. You could get guys and you can give them a bear hug and you just tie them up, things like that. And and again, you'll hear it. I mean, they love that you win a lot, but it wasn't a very exciting game that you played. And at the end of the day, I remember the same thing was in Montreal, and I was talking to some fans one night in some bar, and they were, man, you win, but you're boring to play against. I said, well, would you rather have a 6-4 game that we lose or a 2-1 that we win and we get into the playoffs and that, works out in the playoff? No, we want you to win.
Yeah.
So a little give and take there.
The best is a very entertaining, high-octane offense scoring and winning.
You bet.
But that doesn't always work in the playoffs. Luds, one more clip for you, and then we got to get into some Hurricanes talk. Thomas Harley was one of the guys that spoke today after the morning skate, and he was asked, and it's not a long clip, but just about this stretch that we talked about the other night. Tampa, Carolina, they've got Colorado and Winnipeg coming up. Some very, very good teams.
Well, it's big. We've kind of played a good game, played a not so good game so far this year. We've kind of struggled with consistency, so to have this stretch of games against very good teams where we need to play at our best or near our best game every night should be good for us.
I think that's an interesting point. When you're kind of going through this up and down roller coaster of performance, if you're playing bad teams, again, margins in the NHL are slim. We talk about that all the time. But if you're playing against the teams that are out of the playoffs, maybe you can get away with it. Can't get away with it against really good teams.
Yeah, you're trying to say we're playing too much to the level of our competition. And I think good teams, they just go out and they play their game all the time. And I think you want to prepare when they've got Chicago squeezed in between this thing. You have to play like you're playing a Colorado team or Tampa or somebody like that. And so and again, it's a mental thing that you think you can come in and it's not going to be your toughest game. So I think what happens, and they've proven it, when they get up against good teams, they find a different way to win. And the one common denominator for me so far has been the goaltending of Jake Oettinger. And I think, we did a little clip here before for something that John's going to send out, but I don't know what they're all called. But I mean, it's bottom line is Jake has been the backbone of this hockey team, and he's going to be probably the entire career. And I think every good team needs that if you want to go and win a cup. But there's some times where he shouldn't have to making those 10 bell saves one after another. It's okay to give up 2 or 3 of those, especially the way that Dallas plays. They're going to give up a couple more because they get up and trot. But there are some things that are happening that Jake shouldn't have to make. And so against teams like this tonight, you don't want to put him under too much duress.
I didn't want to bombard you with too many clips, but Duchesne, after the Tampa game, said our goalie basically stole one for us. He was really good early. Pete DeBoer said that. Thomas Harley today said Jake was unbelievable the other night. They recognized that they weren't very good. They got better. There was some talk about the forwards not going down and helping the defense a lot early in the game, but that their details improved as the game went along. Oettinger's play against the Carolina Hurricanes has been really good as well. Last year, the Stars won both. The year before, Marty Necas scored both overtime winners as Dallas went 0-2 against the Hurricanes. Well, then in the 23-24 season series, Oettinger stopped 52 of 55 shots, a .945 save percentage as Dallas went and won both. 4-2 at home on February 13th. Then they went to Carolina and won 2-1. It wasn't a great game in a lot of respects because there was the Carolina outshot Dallas. It was like 21-16 or something. It wasn't a ton, which is very uncharacteristic for these two teams because, Luds, you said there's a lot of parallels between the Stars and the Hurricanes.
Well, there are. When you look at the numbers, and just in the last 10 games that both of these teams have played, and Carolina's top 2 lines have scored 20 goals, combined. Dallas's top 2 lines have scored 19 goals combined. And then their bottom 2 are 17 goals for Carolina, 13 goals for Dallas, and a couple of third liners. And I don't know what we consider that and all, but Martin Nook has got 6 goals in there, who's playing on the third line. He's all over the place. He's got 5 goals. So there's some parallels, just what's been going on their last 10. When you look at some of the other things, the teams are in the top 4 or 5, and they're just close in the neighborhood there. So it's going to be a good game. This Carolina team, they score on average 3.5 goals a game, and that Jake can take care of some of that. But they're going to have to fight for puck possession tonight because the Carolina team, because of the way that they play, Dallas is going to have to, try to spend some more time in the offensive zone, and the turnovers are going to be important. Those turnovers at the offensive blue line, which the other team will not do for the most part, they find way. That's how they spend so much time in the offensive zone. So I think they need to cut back on the turnovers and kind of get that territorial battle at least evened out.
All right. Well, Jake Oettinger is a huge bonus, or I should say advantage, for the Stars tonight. Let's take a look at the lineups. First for Dallas, and you look at the front, the lineup has not changed because they're going with the same 12 forwards as Blackwell is the healthy scratch. They won in Tampa. They won last week looking pretty good against the Sharks after a disappointing performance against the Anaheim Ducks. Now you look at the defense and the goaltending, same group because of Lundqvist still being injured, and this group's been fine, but Oettinger and net. Why is he an advantage? Well, now we take a look at the Carolina Hurricanes, and they, up front, have some interesting pieces. Seth Jarvis back in the lineup. He's activated today off the IR after missing 7 games due to an upper body injury. That's a big lift. They sent a couple of guys down to the AHL Chicago Wolves. A couple of new faces as well, Luds, for Carolina from the Dallas perspective. Jack Roslovic, who's off to a pretty good start, leads them with 12 goals. Martinook's been around, but Eric Robinson and William Carrier are two guys that came in. Blake is another new name for Stars fans that haven't seen them. And, of course, we know Aho, Drury, and Stahl, Kotkaniemi, they're pretty solid down the middle.
Yeah, Roslovic's he's on that top line with Aho. He's got some skill. You know, he was in Columbus, and he's got more skill. I think he was in Winnipeg, too, wasn't he?
Winnipeg first, yes.
Yeah, and he's a skilled player, but I think he tried to play with too much skill, it seemed to me, and things that I've heard. But anyway, he's a good player. Nature's been on fire for him. Martinook, like I talked about earlier, and Carrier, heavy guys. You know, they play. You know, they've had success, obviously. But Carrier's a heavy body along the wall and things like that. And actually, surprisingly, he's got some pretty good hands in tight.
Now, why is Jake Oettinger such an advantage tonight? Well, take a look at the defense for the Hurricanes and their goalies. Spencer Martin gets the start. This is a big one because they are going through a crisis in goal. Because in their last game, which was at Columbus on Saturday, Pyotr Kochetkov got concussed by his teammate, Sean Walker, in overtime in a game they ended up losing in a shootout to the Blue Jackets. He is out. Freddie Anderson last week, literally last Thursday, the team announced that an injury that he had suffered in October against Seattle is going to require surgery on his knee. He's out 8 to 12 weeks. So your number 1 and your number 2 are out tonight. Martin is the number 3, and Peretz, they just called up from the AHL as backup. They don't have to go with David Ayers, the old Zamboni driver E-Bug, but this is a huge advantage Dallas tonight.
Yeah, you know, Spencer Martin, Colorado, started in Colorado, 3 games, 865. Then next was Columbus, 887, 13 games. Then Vancouver, 887, 35 game. Carolina, 887, 11 games. Get that mic in front of me so you guys can hear me. So the bottom line is you got a career 885 goaltender here tonight, and he's got a max 60 games played in his career, 61 games or so. So MO for Dallas is let's direct some pucks there and let's get there.
The Hurricanes are dealing with the same thing the Stars are. They're going through a really tough stretch. They play tonight at home, starting a 3-game homestand. Dallas, then the Rangers on Wednesday, then they host the Panthers, and then they go play at the Panthers. That's a tough 4-game stretch.
That's a tough stretch. Yeah, and again, it's that season you're getting past the 20-game mark, and you're kind of who you are, and you want to get into these kind of stretches and prove that the team that you've seen or haven't seen, you either are that or you're not that, and you can improve. And we're getting close to that Thanksgiving Day, and everybody talks about the line. You know, you're either, you know, you're in the playoffs, you're out of the playoffs, and teams are kind of who they are after the 20 to 30 game mark.
Take one more look at the defensive pairings for the Hurricanes, and there are some changes because obviously Slavin and Burns, the top pairing, they're both really good. I think Jacob Slavin, even being a top pairing defenseman, is underrated in the NHL. I really, really like his game. Dmitry Orlov has been putting up some points, and obviously we know who Gostisbehere is from his time with the Flyers, etc. But Sean Walker, I mean, they made some big changes. Brett Pesci's not there anymore. Brady Shea's not there anymore. So a few different names.
Their defense core is built to play with the forwards. They get up the ice. They get involved. They get pucks in. Gostisbehere, he's kind of a one-trick pony. I mean, he's good in the offensive zone. He's a power play guy. He's got a great shot. Chatfield's kind of been really, really good. I mean, he's another guy that gets up. And Brent Burns, the dude doesn't age. You know, I mean, he's what, 39 years old now, probably, somewhere in that neighborhood?
I don't know if he answered or if he learned from Joe Thornton to be loud and energy crazy, but they're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, he's got a place here in Texas, and he's got pythons and rabbits and donkeys.
Ranch.
And, yeah. So he's a wild man, but he's entertaining to watch. But he can be just as wild when he's trying to play defense at times too. But this whole group kind of leans forward, and like I said, they're going to get up in the play, and they're cycling all over in the offensive zone. They're an entertaining, team to watch, and they're having some success playing that way.
Should be a heck of a game. It's called Lenovo Center now. They in September signed a new naming rights deal. It was PNC Arena, and they spent $60 million, the computer technology company Lenovo, for a 10-year naming rights deal. So get used to calling it that. It's going to be here for at least a decade. And Luds, just to close it out, we'll have more time in the postgame. We want to talk about it. But the big news of the NHL yesterday.
You're gonna have fun tonight after, because there's going to be a lot of high danger chances. I think you're going to.
You think so?
Yeah,
so we're gonna have a lot to talk about.
Yeah. You will.
How about yesterday's big crazy news?
What
Your
happened?
buddy Doug Armstrong firing his head coach Drew Bannister, who he just named full-time coach at the end of last season after being the interim tag, after getting rid of Craig Berube, who won him a Stanley Cup. and pouncing on the now free agent that is Jim Montgomery. And Monty's coaching his first game tonight for the Blues.
Yeah, Ernie said that he was waiting to see what was happening with Monty, because then Bannister was going to be gone. So it was premeditated. But you know, Monty's going to. I think it's a tough one. They're in New York, I think, tonight. They're playing the Rangers, and so Monty's first game after walking in the door yesterday with, you know, they all know the players, but without having worked with them and things like that, they're going to go in there and play the New York Rangers tonight. And they always say that there's a coach bump. You know, you win your first 2 or 3 games. We'll see if that one happens.
Maybe the next game.
Possibly. Who's that one against? Somebody.
We're going to have to look at the schedule. We'll talk about the post game, because it's an intriguing thing. And the fact that St. Louis and Armstrong said out loud, they weren't necessarily looking for a coach move, but when they realized Montgomery was available, they signed him to a 5-year contract
right off the bat. He's liked Monty for a long time.
Yes,
he likes his philosophy. Yeah. There's a relationship there, but it's you know, I think they've lost like 8 of their last 9 games, so things aren't going well in St. Louis.
If you haven't seen it, go look at the Pavel Buchnevich post game from their last loss, because he looked like the final straw had been lost. He was very despondent about how bad their team was.
Hey, guys, take it to heart. You know, and again, when it's real, just you think that's bad? Try to be in the Pittsburgh Penguins shoes.
Oh, well, Mike Sullivan still has his job for now, and he's been there forever and won cups. It's an interesting one. All right, Stars, Hurricanes. Let's go watch it on Victory Plus. We'll see you for the post game right afterwards.
I believe that they are going to crush these guys tonight.
We all silly like the mayor.